Hello, my name is Rebecca Stromsdorfer. I am a homeschool mom to 5 children, and we have been homeschooling for about 20 years now. My husband and I have been married for 22 years, very happily most of the time. And we now have some adult children, one in college, one married, and then we have a high schooler, a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. So homeschooling is our passion. Helping people homeschool is a passion, but even more than that, helping people homeschool who have ADHD is, if homeschooling's my passion, helping ADHD mamas is like my calling in life. So why? Because I'm an ADHD mom, and it's taken me years to discover that my processes and ways of coping with that are good. I guess when you grow up with a bunch of people who are very type A personalities, you start to think that as an ADHD person, you're bad. And you know what? That's so not the truth. We are creative people. We are highly intelligent. We are everywhere. There are tools you can do to help you as you homeschool to deal with ADHD. Now, first of all, I just want it to be said, I think the word ADHD as an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is horrible. It is not a disorder. Okay. I just want to go down saying that it is not a disorder. Whoever named this was a type A personality and just didn't get us. But I'm going to use the term ADHD or ADA or anyway. I mess them up because I think they're stupid names. I'm going to use those words only so that we're on the same page and you understand what I'm saying. But I believe that ADHD is a superpower. Entrepreneurs, business owners have ADHD. People who constantly are striving for better, greater inventors are ADHD. And we are loving, kind people. So I want you to, first of all, own it. Be proud of it. If you have children with ADHD, just know they might be amazing entrepreneurs. And that is awesome. They just think differently. So I just want to put that out there. I have come to appreciate my own personal strengths that come with this ADHD. I've also come to appreciate the weaknesses that come with it. So I'm going to discuss how I dealt with some of those weaknesses to turn them into strengths. And I hope this helps you, whether you have ADHD or whether you have a child with ADHD. This hopefully will help you as you are working through some of those issues. Number one, if your child is under the age of 8 years old, they don't have ADHD, they're children. They're movers, they're shakers, they're everywhere. That's a child. The world has come to tell us that that is a problem because they want the kids sitting still. Children weren't made to sit still. They were made to move. So I wouldn't even go in and diagnose or, start calling your kid an ADHD kid until they're around 8 years old. And then you'll start to see some can focus, some can't, and that's okay. So don't jump into this diagnosis. Your children are still developing, and a lot of the ADHD symptoms will go away as they get older. So don't panic if this is what you think your kid is. It doesn't really become an issue until they're 8 to 10, and then you start to see how it affects their learning, and then you make some changes. So that's okay. So first of all, I'm going to give you 5 steps that hopefully will help you as you have ADHD, as well as maybe some of your children. Now, all of my children don't have ADHD. 2 do, 2 don't, and 1, actually my girls are all very well focused. My boys are everywhere. So you have to find a way to help everybody. So number 1, you've got to be flexible. When you have an ADHD mind, you have days that are very, very good, and we can focus like nobody's business. But then we have days that just don't work. Now, I have tied in cheese, fake cheese, to my ADHD brain. If I eat Cheetos, Doritos, any cheesy chip the night before, the next day, I'm a mess. So I have learned that there are certain foods that set off my brain that don't allow it to focus more than others. So watch your child's diet. They say that orange dyes yellow dyes and red dyes are horrible for ADHD. And I started testing that on myself, and oh my gosh, yes. So check your dyes. Make sure, see what your kid ate. If he's having a particularly bad day, see what they ate the day before, and you might start to tie things in. Keep a little food journal. Clean diets keep me better focused. Caffeine focuses me. My child, who is 15, with the worst ADHD, drinks caffeine in the morning. We do a pre-workout. He weightlifts with me. He does caffeine in the morning to be able to focus. So caffeine does not excite us. It helps us focus. Now, I don't do that with my kids under that. I wait till they're 14, 15 before I start giving them caffeine. But I wait to see when it starts to affect the rest of their lives, and then they start caffeine if they need to. So watch their diet. And instead of meds, try caffeine. There are plenty of healthy sources out there that will help. One of my favorites is called mate, or yerba mate. You might see those in the stores. Sometimes they can be really high caffeine, but if you make it out of an herbal tea, you can control the caffeine content. Okay, number 2, atmosphere. Now, I consider an atmosphere like my home. So you'll see, I have this behind me here. I've got another one in cursive over there. My walls are decorated in learning decor. That's what I've come to call it, learning decor. So in the bathrooms, there are multiplication charts. Using the wall in front of the toilet is a really good learning spot. I put quotes, I put math facts, I put those types of things. I print them out on my computer, or I find somebody's PDF. We've got a ton if you want some. And I put them around the house. And I'm amazed at what they'll learn without me ever having to do a thing. They're so ADHD that if they're going to be looking around, they might as well be learning something. So I plaster my walls with educational material, whether it's the amendments, whether it's shapes. It just depends on their ages. But my kitchen cupboards have them. My fridge. Every wall, I'm telling you, the bathroom's like the best part. Put it all over your mirrors, as much as you can handle, and switch it out often. And I'm amazed at what my kids have picked up and memorized. So atmosphere / learning decor in every room of the house, especially places where they tend to sit for long periods of time, whether it's in their bed and they can't sleep, put it on the ceiling. If they're sitting in the bathroom way too long, put it right in front of them. So just a few options. Number 3 for an ADHD, creative time should be scheduled in daily. So we keep our lessons short. We don't have, I don't have a ton of energy and a ton of focus. So we get reading, writing, math done first thing out of the gate in the morning, and generally only 3 days a week. And then we use 1 day for science, history, geography, those types of things. And if I can get it out of a co-op, I will. And I often will find somebody else to teach whatever I just can't focus on. I will trade with a friend. I will find a co-op. I will hire a teacher, whatever I got to do. If I can't focus on the subject, I find someone else to do it for me. But I have found that the best time of the day for my children is in the afternoon after lunch. So, and this started when they were babies because I was just tired. So we would have lunch and then I'd say, okay, it's quiet time. And I would go put a baby down and generally fall asleep with them. And I couldn't have toddlers running around getting into trouble. And they didn't want to sleep anymore. So I would have them lay down with a book. I would set a timer that they could see. And then I would say, when the timer goes off, you can get up quietly. And as long as you're quiet, you can play. So I got timers that they could see. And sometimes I'd sit there and stare at it for an hour. It was usually 1 hour. I would lay down with the baby. I'd get the baby to sleep. And when that little timer went off, I would get up and go be with the kids. Now, as they got older, I was able to sleep longer because I could trust my kids to be fine. I would let them read in bed. I would say, read or sleep. So all my kids love to read, except for one, because he's my worst ADHD kid. All my kids love to sleep. Or love to sleep and read, because that hour of quiet time, all they could do is sleep or read. So they're readers. And then it was creative time. Okay, guys, everybody's up. It's creative time. You can pick a project or I'm picking a project. When they were little, I would say, okay, we're all going to learn to sew, and we'd pull something out. Hey, mommy's going to paint a room. Who's going to help me? And I would paint and let them help me paint. Okay, we're going to work in the garden. Everybody work in the garden. And so our school stuff was done in the morning. And our afternoon became creative time. And it was work with mom in her project or go do your own. But if you're fighting, you're cleaning. And if you try to do anything other than some creative project, you're cleaning. So I think it only took once where I actually had to make them clean instead. And they moved to creative time very, very quickly. During that creative time, here's the beautiful thing that has happened that I didn't know was going to happen. It's just that that's what I needed at the time. As they got older, they started loving that creative time. And they learned that if I would say, hey, like a kid would be quiet for hours, I'd be like, hey, Isaac, where are you? And he would say, Mom, I'm doing creative time. Okay. And I'd leave him alone. And they learned that as long as they were being creative, Mom left him alone. And my ADHD kids loved this time the most because what I watched them do was hyper focus on a project. It was like the only time of the day they would hyper focus. That was me too. I could hyper focus on a project. And so they started hyper focusing. And now what I learned was not to pull them out of the hyper focus if I didn't have to. Leave that hyper focus as long as you can. Don't make them clean up the project if they're halfway done. Let them leave it till tomorrow. We started setting up art tables all over the house. Everybody had their own table so they could work on a project and leave it. My husband was like, am I ever going to have a clean house again? And I would say, yes, the day they're gone. So live it up. So they all have their own desk. No, it doesn't look beautiful. That's okay. But now they work on those projects day in, day out. And if I see a project not get used after a week, I make them clean it up. So that creative time has really helped their brains. Hobbies. We need hobbies. It's part of who we are. It gives us a reason to get up in the morning. If you have children who are depressed, find out if they're creating anything. I have found that my kids can be cured of depression by a project. They just need to solve problems, work on something. Okay, number 4, audiobooks. Oh, audiobooks. I don't know how they did this way back when, but we use Scribd because I can pay one monthly fee and we can all be reading a book. I don't like Audible because it doesn't work for our family. It doesn't work for homeschool families at all. We use Scribd, one fee, $8.99 a month, I think is what we're paying. And we've all got a book on there. Now, this is specifically really good for my child who hates to read. I have one kid who will not read, but he loves listening to books. He's learned how to use Scribd. He listens to books while he's working on his projects. Dad reads to them at night and they pull out Legos and crayons and whatever. And so dad is doing that. It is amazing how much your children will learn from an audiobook. Just always have one going and always keep them on and discuss them. Your kids will learn more language arts and history and science and stories and just by those books than anything else. So we have really pushed books, classics, stories that inspire, and those we have found have been the best part of our education. And because a lot of us like me, I can't sit and listen to a book, but I can walk for hours and get lost in a book. So some of us have to move. My husband finally bought me a very cheap treadmill so that I could finally get through a book. And I am so grateful. All right, number 5, processes. You need to create processes that require you as the mom to not have to think, not have to come up with things. So one of the processes is a yearly job chart. You're going to think I'm crazy on this, but oh my gosh, when a homeschool mom taught me this, I was like, where have you been? Yearly job chart. Your kid has one job every day, or even like a different job every week, but that chart stays for a year. They will get so good at that job. You don't have to think about it. They don't have to think about it. Everybody knows the expectation and everybody knows who didn't do their job because it's been a year. And after that year, when they've grown up a little bit and they can do more, you switch those jobs around. Sometimes you have the oldest help the youngest. Sometimes, depending on their ages, they can do it by themselves. Sometimes mom and dad are helping the babies, but a yearly job chart, a 6-month education chart. Charts are my friend. Have things on your wall where the child can go off and check that they've got their jobs done. So I've always had one that says, You need to do 1 page of reading, 1 page of math, and I write down the homework for the week. Okay. For the entire week. And then I'll say, guys, if you get it all done, this many pages a day, I actually will put on then you can do, and then I have another list on the wall. I'm actually looking for, here's one of my chore charts. Check this out. So I haven't got this filled out right now because I'm showing you each child, and I write down their jobs that they have to do. And then they'll mark, yes, I did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday. Sorry. Then I have a reward for if they got it done. So I don't make them do 7 days a week or even 5 days a week. I'll say, you got to do 5 pages of math this week. I don't care if you do them all in one day, but you're going to get 5 done. So sometimes they'll take Monday, Tuesday, get all 5 done. So they don't have to work on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which I think is brilliant. That's real life. So they'll mark it. And then we put their piano on here. We put whatever they need on here. And this is dry erase, and I've got it on my wall. So here's another one of our processes, family goals. This is, sorry, it's all backwards. This is what we are working on for money, love, family, career, spirituality, and knowledge. And this is also a dry erase, so we can change this as it goes. I have created so many of these, guys, because it keeps them having somewhere to answer to without it being me. If my brain is gone that day, or I'm angry because I'm stressed over something, it's not fair of me to react. So I set up situations where I don't have to react. I can say, my kids will tease me. I can say yes when you say yes. So they'll say, hey, Mom, can I have a friend over? Can you tell me that all your stuff is done for the day? Your homework and your jobs. Did you check off your pages? Yes. Then I get to say yes. And if they say no, I'll say, you know what the answer is then. I say yes when you say yes, but I have to say no when you say no. And it's all on them, all of it. So I try to put as much in their lap as responsibility, because my ADHD brain cannot manage this many people. I don't get, I've tried everything. The bottom line is I can't manage them all. They need to learn to manage themselves. And so I have created lots of charts, calendars. I have job charts. I have a weekly calendar so they know where I am and who I'm driving where. And I've created year calendars because I don't want them to go, hey, Mom, how many more days until my birthday? It's on the calendar. So I'm not an organized person, but I have found that those types of things have just relieved the stress in our lives, moved the responsibility onto my children, and allowed my brain a break. So just a quick recap. Number 1, be flexible. It's kind of a 1-2. Be flexible. If they're struggling with their focus that day, let it go. Go do something else. It's okay. Another day will work fine. If your child is not going along with that schedule you had in your mind, it's okay. It's not about the schedule. It's about the kid. So be flexible. Watch their diets. You'll see a big difference. Number 2, set an atmosphere of learning. Put up things all over the house that you want them to learn and change it often. And make sure you have something for every age. Number 3, let them have their creative time. Plan it. Like, be careful with it. So we end up doing it maybe 3 days a week. Because Thursdays and Fridays, sometimes we like to do other things. Sometimes we do it 5 days a week. Winter, summer, it changes. We're flexible, right? And then number 4, audiobooks. Audiobooks. If you did nothing else but played audiobooks all day long, your children would be way ahead of public schoolers. So don't even worry about that. Number 5, set up processes. Get these types of things where your brain doesn't have to make decisions every day. The less decisions you have to make, the easier it is for you to be the mom. So get processes. If you don't make your own, you're welcome to go to our website and get them. We have made everything available because we loved them so much and we kept getting asked. So it's on there if you want them. And in the meantime, if you have questions, by all means, reach out to me. I am happy to help you with this. As an ADHD homeschool mom, it can be tough. I'm not going to say it's always easy, but I have learned that my ADHD personality is perfect for homeschooling. Perfect. So don't panic. if you think it's actually bad. Homeschool moms don't have to be well organized. They just have to be, I don't know, what do we have to be? Ourselves. That's all. Our kids just need us. So we will see you later, and please reach out with any questions. You guys have a great one. Bye-bye.